Don't you hate it when you're playing a ranked game of Valorant and you go up against a team that is just playing to perfection? They're trading perfectly, their utility usage is spot on, they just seem to be at every site that you try to hit, they just rotate, you're just running into 5 stacks constantly. They know exactly what to do, you just can't beat them. Like, literally this team just came back from Berlin and specifically hopped on as soon as they got home just to kick your... And then you think to yourself, they must be 5 stacked. They must be like a full team. That's got to be Sentinels themselves. Well, to be fair, they very well could be, and if you wanted to play like them, you could. So whether you're equivocating on a bunch of friends, or you're a normal person with a few friends, or you're like me who doesn't have any friends, everyone asks the age-old question, should you solo queue, or should you duo queue with friends? Should you 5-stack? Well, simply, you can coordinate a lot better with the more people you play with, but so will the enemy team. The amount of people you queue with has their own pros and cons, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Which is better, solo or duoing, or 5-stacking? But before we talk about that, it's important that we go over and talk about how matchmaking works. Let's say you're duo queuing with your buddy, there's a few possibilities that can happen. You can get paired with a 3-stack, a duo and a solo, or 3 solos. And then the enemy team is usually pretty similar to your competition, unless they get a 5-stack, which can be kind of unlucky, and that's when it's annoying because your teammates probably aren't communicating as much as the 5-stack is, and you're probably going to end up getting rolled. They're just able to communicate rotations better, ask for help, peek things together, it'll just be a lot harder for you to win. But don't worry, as this usually doesn't happen, as Riot's actually pretty good at making sure the teams are even in terms of numbers. That's why, if you ever queued with a stack of friends, you'll notice that the queue times are usually much longer. So, if matchmaking is usually pretty even, who and how many people should you be playing with? Well, this is going to depend on a lot of factors. Firstly, let's talk about everybody's worst nightmare, and that's solo queuing. And why is that? Why do people hate queuing by themselves? Well, there's a quote that I heard one time, something about your teammates being like a box of chocolates or something, and you never know what you're going to get. You can get the Insta-Lock Duelist who never talks, the controller main who doesn't actually know what they're doing, or they don't know how to throw smokes. You could get the Sentinel that just never leaves their setups. Or even worse, you can get put with the 4-stack who won't talk to you, or people who are just trolling. Like I said, a lot of what your teammates do is going to be out of your control, and this can be really frustrating. You can't do much about your duelist who's not entering, or your sentinel that's not watching flanks. You can try and offer them advice, but there's only so many mistakes that you can stomach before you just lose it. And I get it, we're all human. So if you do plan on solo queuing, the main thing I recommend is that you work on your mental. You're going to need a strong one, and honestly, solo queuing is a pretty good way at improving how you handle your teammates' mistakes and how you control your own emotions. What I'm saying is that playing on your own with a bunch of random people is a pretty good way at improving your leadership skills. You can come up with plans, you can tell people what to do, you can call for certain utility. It's something that's hard to do, but it's something that you can get pretty good at over time. Also, if your team isn't cooperating with you, you just need to cut your losses and try to play for yourself and focus on what you can do better in the next round. Just focus on yourself, that's it. It's really easy to get caught up in what little Timmy's doing and how he's aiming at people's toes, but at the end of the round, you should be asking yourself, did I do everything 100% right that round? Was there anything I could have done better in order to win the round? And as great as we think we are, the answer is usually no. The one redeeming quality of solo queuing is that if you do manage to get your team on the same page and start talking to one another, you're probably going to have a lot easier time beating the other team, as odds are they probably aren't communicating to each other. Now, before we get to the rest of the guide, I just want to say that if you're looking for other guides, we have those as well as SkillCap. Or if you want your VOD reviewed by one of us, we can do that too. We also have Smurf commentaries where Radiant level players talk you through their games and show you how to play in higher ranked games more effectively. Or maybe if you wanted to learn how to run a default, learn a specific agent, or just try to get better, we have specific training courses tailored to all of those things. And not only that, but we have a rank improving guarantee so that if you don't see a rank improving, you'll get your money back. But there's literally so much value here, I find it hard that you won't improve. If you're looking for the fastest way to climb in Valorant, be sure to check out skillcap.com, link in the description below. Next, let's talk about duo queuing. This is probably the most common way people play the game. With a buddy, you can do all sorts of tag team shenanigans. For example, if you're playing Breach and your teammate's playing Jett, the Breach can set up Jett with some pretty easy kills with his stun and his flash, and this can be really fun. Flash and dash on some kids, get a couple easy kills, get some clips for Twitter, and call it a day. With a duo, you can have tons of fun together, make a ton of memories, and honestly, playing with somebody is just a lot more fun than playing alone. But, and this is a big but, you need to keep in mind that the rest of your team needs to know what's going on. If you plan on doing a flash and dash play, tell your other teammates to play back, as when you push one side of the map, the enemy team is probably going to rush the other. And this is the main problem I see a lot when it comes to duo queuing. You guys sort of get lost in your own world and you two don't think you're doing anything wrong, but you still need to tell your teammates what you're doing and what your plan is. And this is the problem when playing with X amount of friends. If you're in 5-stacking, you really need to communicate with people that aren't in your party. And if you guys are talking, that's when you guys can compete with these demon 5-stacks. Okay, you social butterfly you've decided to make more than one friend and you formed a pretty decent looking squad. Now this is where it gets interesting. When you get 3 or more people in a group, you get to start dictating the pace of your games. You guys can start making cool plays, you guys can start creating your own plays in custom games, make your own defaults, and just have lots of fun. Not only that, you'll be able to cover the 3 most important roles of the game with a duelist, a controller, and a sentinel. You don't really need an initiator, but they can make your life a lot easier. But with those 3 roles filled, ranked becomes a lot less relying on random teammates, but now relying on your friends who you feel more comfortable talking to. Something to keep in mind though is that you or your friends don't have a good mental, this can ruin friendships, and you'll start having a lot less fun a lot faster. If your friend doesn't know how to enter as well as you think, you might start getting frustrated with them and not want to play anymore. Then when you don't want to play with them, you start losing friendships. This is where that mental thing I talked about before comes into major play. In ranked, you need to be able to receive criticism and give it out in a calm and helping manner and not come off as a toxic D-bag. Or maybe you're playing with a really close friend and you guys can really tell each other anything without getting the other person mad. Then this would be the fastest way to get better, as you always have another set of eyes on what you're doing and telling each other how you guys can get better. By doing this, then you guys are improving faster and together. Another thing that people don't think about when playing with 3 or more people is that you're putting a lot of your eggs in one basket. Maybe you guys suck, and you guys aren't as good as you really think you are. This means that if the other 3 stack is better than you guys, you're putting a lot of pressure on your 2 random teammates to pull more weight. But this goes both ways. Maybe you guys are super cracked, and the enemy team just kinda sucks, and you end up rolling, and then you have a fun time. But it's something that you need to think about before queuing with 2 or more friends. So if you really think that your random teammates are the thing holding you back from ranking up, then go get your best players together and prove it. Oh yeah, and one last thing for you Platinum and Diamond players out there. If you guys are stacked, you guys are going to have a higher chance of running into Smurfs, because when you hit Diamond 3 and above, you can't play with more than one other person. So these people who are in higher ranks that want to play with more than one friend, they're probably going to get on alternate accounts and play in lower ranked lobbies. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing. You can learn a lot from these higher rated players, and you'll learn a lot more from your own gameplay. It's just something to keep in mind. But at the end of the day, regardless who you play with, 1, 2, 3, or 4 other people, it doesn't matter. And you shouldn't be afraid of solo queue, or worry about who you're queuing with. What matters is what you want out of Valorant. Do you want to be the best player you possibly can? Then you should play as much as you want and VOD review yourself. I've talked to so many people who said that they just want to get better at the game, but they never solo queue and only strictly play on their alt accounts or with other people. But you're not going to get better that way, and you can't be afraid of losing, because believe it or not, everybody loses. Wins and losses don't matter. You're not a pro, no one cares. But what does matter is what you learned from that game. At the end of the day, your rank is just a little PNG next to your name. It's a little picture, it's a little icon, and it doesn't define you as a player. So the less you start worrying about your rank, and the more you start worrying about how you're performing in each game and how you're improving, your rank will come over time, I promise. Or like, I don't know, maybe you're just playing Valorant for fun and ranked is just a way for you and your buddies to get together and shoot some heads. Then it doesn't matter. Play whatever you want. Play with whoever you want. As long as you're having fun, that's really all that matters. Just understand that the more people you queue with, the less of a gamble ranked is, and is instead based on your friends and your own skill level. This was all just one in-depth guide that we have on our website though. Also, if you want a chance at having your VOD reviewed, be sure to subscribe on our website at skillcap.com. We also have tons of Radiant Smurf commentaries where we have Radiant level players walk you through exactly how to play off your teammates, friends or not, and they're super helpful to see in real time what goes through a top tier player's head. As you mentioned before, it's also backed by a rank improvement guarantee, and the reason we do that is because we were just that confident that our service works. And if it doesn't work, then you shouldn't pay. So what are you waiting for? You've got nothing to lose. Head on over to skillcap.com and get started on your way to that rank that you deserve. I hope this video helped you guys understand the factors that go into your games depending on the amount of people that you're queuing with. Valorant is a really fun game, and the more you play with your friends and come up with cool strategies and combinations, the more fun and memories you're going to make and have. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel down below. It really does help us out. And that's all for us. I'm Teets, and we here at Skullcap want to thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.